Welcome to yet another installment of the AirPod with myself, Tsepi. This is the third episode of the AirPod with Tsepi, and I'm very, very excited about this one, if I have to put it that way, for lack of a better word. And the reason why I say I'm excited, I mean, it's an unfortunate conversation that we're having, but I'm very excited because I have a friend of mine who's very dear to my heart. I know her story, and I was hoping to share the very same story with you. I have my friend Nonhlanhla Hatta, who is a businesswoman, mother, and unfortunately, she is a young widow. Nonhlanhla, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Mamela, let's start here. Do you even like being called a widow? And I say that because so many women have been placed with this thing of you're a young widow, you're a young black widow, or whatever the case may be. And I can imagine that's something that you don't necessarily even like, even filling in the boxes, of Mrs. or Mr. or Miss, Mrs., and then you have to put in a widow. Is that something that you embrace, or is that something you almost feel like it shouldn't even be part of my story?
At first, I didn't like it because that doesn't define me. But it comes with what I've been through. So now I embrace it because there's a lot of things that I learned from going through this journey. So I shouldn't be ashamed of it. So yeah, I've gotten to a point where I've learned to say, okay, yes, I'm proud. Not that I'm proud. I don't know,
But it's part of
for
your
lack of a better
story.
word. Yeah,
Okay.
it's part of my story. It's part of who I am and where I'm going. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily define me,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
So before we even get into your journey and your experience, as abantwana, while sikula, we've seen our aunts, we've seen our grandmothers lose their better halves, right? And
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
seen them bazila. But I don't know if you ever got the understanding of what that means for you when you've seen your aunts, you've seen your bomamkhulu, or you've seen abogogo lose, even our neighbors, lose their better halves.
Yeah.
Did you ever sort of understand or grapple with the idea of what it is to lose a partner at the tender age that you were at?
To be honest, no, because my aunts, umamncane umamkhulu, umalumekazi actually, umalumekazi wami, that she went through that. But it didn't make sense to me. I didn't get it. I just moved on with life. I was a kid. It didn't matter to me. I never understood it, so it didn't bother me. So I really didn't care. So yeah, didn't think I was gonna get to that point in my life, but it just didn't make sense. Like, yeah, I just saw it as a funeral, and I didn't think it was that deep.
Because I suppose obviously
Yeah.
it wasn't affecting you directly, but then
No.
life goes and gives us a different turn. Before we go there,
Yeah.
let's talk about your marriage. Let's talk about your husband. How long were you with your husband for before you even got married?
Uh, in total, we were together for 7, and then we're married for 3 years.
And how was marriage
Yeah.
then? And I want to know how marriage life was for a young person like yourself.
Wow. I got married. I think I was 26. I think. Can't really remember because yeah.
While
But
Tina we were dueling,
very
while I'm trying
excited.
to think of myself at 26, I was in and out. Okay. Okay.
So it was great. I was pregnant. It was my first baby. I was excited, and this man wanted to marry me. So it was just heaven. So I remember even my mom asked me when the letter came asking for hand in marriage. My mom asked me, she's like, "Are you ready?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready. He loves me, blah blah, and all of that, and so on." Right? It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. It was great when you're together, when it was just us two, without outside influences. But the ups and downs of life, marriage is not all fun and games. It's really tough, and there's nothing that frustrates me. I heard it so many times, and still frustrates me even now that I don't even tell other people. They always used to say, "Bekezela, emshadweni kuyabekezelwa."
Mm.
So that's how I actually learned to live in my marriage.
Ngokubekezela.
Ngabekezela, yes, ngabekezela yonke into, everything that came with marriage, and I had to grow up without being ready to grow up and without enjoying my so-called marriage or relationship with my partner, because I felt from my side personally, when you get married, he's like, okay, now I not necessarily own you, but yeah, technically I own you.
Mm.
So, uzozwangam, you know.
Was that
So
the
I would
idea
sit
of
at
your husband
home.
or the idea of you?
Idea of my
Okay.
husband. I thought it was so, the things that we used to do before when we were just dating, would go out together, have fun together. But now, most of the time, now I was sitting at home whenever I want to go with him. I was like, no. But I'm not going to paint him out as a bad person. But it was always the thing that because my baby was still young at that point, my firstborn was still young. So it's like, no, you need to be home and take care of the baby once the baby's grown, and then, we'll go out. But um it just became really sad because most of the time I was sitting at home and he was out,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you, when we talk about the outside forces, bukhuluma ngobani? Khuluma ngomama akho or his side of the family or your friends? Who are these outside forces we speak of?
His friends and, girls, other women. Otherwise, from my side, like my mother was fully supporting me because that was the only person I can truly trust because, not a lot of people are happy for you, being married and stuff. So it was just mostly was from his side. His family wasn't really involved in our marriage because he made it clear that they have no right to say or have no ownership over our marriage. So because that that I was happy about,
Mm.
but it's just that the friends part, I felt that he chose his friends most of the time over me going out with his friends. So
The
yeah,
dynamics of marriage, I feel like they're so vast and there's so many things that go into it.
yes,
Now, I want
yes,
to talk about your experience and what happened, obviously, in him ultimately, being late. So, according to
yeah.
Widows Club South Africa, right, they've seen a significant increase in the number of women aged below the ages of 30, right, who have
Mhm,
recently
mhm.
been widowed, and finding that most women at the time were pregnant or had young children. In this case,
Yeah,
this was you, right? You were
yeah,
now on your second child when you lost your husband, and your second
yeah,
son was actually quite young at the time.
yeah.
Now, please take me through the day that you found out that your husband had died.
So, whew. So I was, um, so there was a course that I decided to do.
Mm.
So, I remember it was, I think, was it Barcelona that came over the side to play with Santa? I don't know, but there was some big soccer match. So I'm like, he came back home at like 3 in the afternoon to drop off my son Lutando from school, and then he's like, no, I'll see you later, and he was very happy that day. I was like, no, I'll see you later. I'm like, okay, and then he left. Okay, so I assumed that maybe he's chilling with his friends, watching the soccer match. I'm like, let me not worry about it. I remember like 9 o'clock in the evening, my firstborn kept on saying, I want daddy, I want daddy. Tried calling him, his phone kept on ringing. And then I got upset. I'm like, he's probably out or with his girls or whatever.
Mm.
So I'm like, you know what, let me just go to sleep. But I didn't really sleep. I was just wondering, like, I was pissed off. I'm like, how can you do this? Why is it not coming back? And then I wake up in the morning, still, I don't get no message, no nothing. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me just go. I went to school, went to bed for a few. Then I get a call from my mother. No, I called my mother actually on my way to school. I'm like, can you imagine? He never came back home. And then my mom is like, don't try to be angry about it. Because I think she already knew at that time what
Mm.
happened. And then I'm like, okay, it's fine. Then I get over it. And then I get a call from one of his other friends. He's asking me, have I seen him? I'm like, no, I haven't seen him. The last time I saw him was on Wednesday, the previous day, Wednesday, yeah. And then I was like, okay, bye. Get to school. Just when we were about to start class, I get a call from his brother. His brother called me, like, no, this person has been arrested. We need money to bail him out. Blah blah. I'm like,
Okay.
okay, let me see what I can do. But I'm in school at the moment, so I can't really do anything right now. He's like, no, we need you now. Please send us the location. We'll come and fetch you. I'm like, okay, that's weird. All right. I'm like, okay, it's fine. They come and pick me up. And then we have, when you have like a awkward conversation, like it felt just too forced. So I'm like, okay, let me just have this conversation. Then the minute when I got to our home, there's my mother. She's sitting on the couch, and then my husband's two brothers and the other friends. I'm like, what's happening? And then my mom says, can you please sit down? And then she's like, so he's not really arrested. He got shot last night. So yeah. That,
Yeah. At that moment,
yeah.
what were you feeling at that moment when they told you this? Did you feel like it's something that you believed?
No, no, no.
Did you have
I don't.
I ask this a lot because this is what I hear from people who either have their kids or have a connection with their husbands or their wives, that they almost felt it. That the day before something was weird, or the day on that day something was weird. Did you feel that something was wrong within you, within your spirit, or did you feel like something is not sitting well with you?
Um, I didn't think at that moment that didn't occur to me. But it was just weird that he was just so happy that it didn't look. I know it's weird that, but he was just very happy. It just didn't make sense to me, you know. So only when I thought about it once, I had sat down by myself. I'm like, but this person was too happy, and and he said that he loved me, and then he left. And then I went back to the previous days when he called me on a Saturday, and then he said to me, sorry, I'm just closing this. He called me the Saturday before he passed away on Wednesday. He's like, he wasn't home that time. He's like, I'm sorry for everything that I've done to you. I truly appreciate you. You're a great mother. You're a great wife. I really love you. And thank you for taking care of my firstborn, because he had another child before I had children with him. So I'm like, oh, okay. Which is something that I've always wanted. I wanted that reassurance that you're recognizing what I'm doing for you. So I'm like, oh, that's why. He was clearing up everything so that even if he passes away, I'm not angry about it.
You're not resentful to him, hey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I wasn't, to be honest, I really wasn't. It was just sad how he died. It was just unexpected. I didn't think it was gonna happen. I thought he was, because he'd always say, I'm not the dying type. So I didn't think it was going to happen so early.
Especially so early in your marriage and in your
Yeah.
partnership. And talking about that
Yeah.
as well, I mean, we're never prepared for grieving. We're never taught how
Yeah.
to grieve, especially for your husband and that you've started a life. I mean, when you're sitting there, kamereni, and they're giving you all these rules and regulations about marriage, they never teach you about
Yeah.
grieving. They tell you about
Yeah.
how to start your life, how to, take care of your children, etc. How to ukaka umuzi.
Yes.
Ultimately. So when you got to that point now that this is where you are and this is the situation that you're faced with, how did you, I'm not going to say learn how to grieve, but how did you actually get through the next day and the next day and the next day, the burial, and with all these challenges, by the way, that come with the grieving process?
To be honest, I was numb. I was just like, let's just get this out of the way. There were just too many people in the house. It was just a lot. I never got to digest everything. I just had to be strong. I just had to put up a front. And it's not that It was something that was told, It's just something that came naturally. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but it just came. I'm like, I cannot break down. It's not a time to break down. I'll break down once everything is done, you know? So, yeah.
So now, the thing about Asne and our communities, and I don't know about other communities. I know in the Muslim community, either wear black or white, but Runa, we
Yeah.
wear black. I get it. We're
Yeah.
fully clothed in black, and this is the color of mourning, and this is how
Yeah.
you're supposed to show respect for umuntu oshonile, your husband, your
Yeah.
significant other. You either wear it for 6
Yeah.
months or you wear it for a year, and it's called
Yeah.
izilo, right? Now,
Yeah.
I, s- I question that. I question that attire for many
Mhm.
reasons, right?
Mhm.
I question it
Mhm.
because I almost feel like it's forced upon us and we don't
Mhm.
100% understand the actual reason why we should be decked
Yeah.
in these black clothes. But for you, did you
Yes.
practice that? Did you then ugqoke izil?
Luckily for me, I didn't want to wear it, and I told my mom, I'm like, I don't want this. I don't want to see myself. I've never thought I was gonna go through this, but I don't want to wear it. But she had my back, even when his family said that I have to wear all black in Zilo and everything. My mom defended me. She's like, she's young and she cannot be like. It's just for her, for my mom personally, because it still didn't make sense. Even now, it still doesn't make sense to me because I'm like, at the end of the day, it's my heart that's grieving for him. Why should I change? You know,
How you
my
should be
attire,
dressed,
my
hey?
ears. I always I asked her that. She's like, but you're right. It's the heart that's that's bleeding for your husband. So um, she said that. She explained it to them and like, okay, that's fine. She doesn't have to wear it. But there were still certain rules that I still had to adhere to.
Mm,
So I'd always make sure that I'm home before 5, you
mm,
know. And I'd always used to wear duke and dresses. I'd never wear pants.
yeah.
I did that for 6 months because because we got shot. So when umuntu makashone ngengozi, uzila for 6 months. If it was just like a natural cause, it was going to be a year.
Oh,
That's
really?
how they
Okay.
explained it to me. Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, I only did that for 6 months.
Let's go back to
Yeah.
Izilo. And let
Mhm.
me give you my reasons of why I feel like Izilo is slightly restrictive, right? And
Yeah.
I I speak from a complete place of ignorance because I haven't been through it.
Yeah.
And I haven't
Yeah.
sat down and the reasons why. So this is why I speak from the point that I speak from. And you're more
Mhm.
than welcome to come and correct me here. I was saying
Okay.
that I feel like Izilo is quite restrictive, right? And I say that
Mhm.
because you're very identifiable to men when you leave
Mhm. Mhm.
home. I get you wear it everywhere you go, whether you're going to the shops
Yes.
or etc. So I feel
Yes.
like Uba identifiable easily to men. They
Mhm.
see a vulnerable
Mhm.
woman. They see
Yes.
this woman who is wanting an example, a replacement for her husband, or
Yeah.
is a crying woman who's just ready for sex, or it's just this woman who's just fallen into millions, and in that case you become a
Mm.
predator for the next person that
Yes.
wants to be with you because they already know how to identify you. Do you feel the same way?
Mhm. I really do. I really do. Because it was so much easier when people, because I was just wearing a duke and a dress. So people wouldn't assume anything. So what you're saying is absolutely true from my side. I agree with you because you're attracting
Mm,
that that vibe. I don't want people. It's like I don't want people to know my business. Only certain people that knew what happened, they may know, but it causes unnecessary attention and draws unnecessary attention to you. Like you're saying about obviously they think that oh yeah you're in the monies or whatever, and then you attract all the wrong guys,
mm.
and that time you're not even in that
Did
state
that happen
for
to you, or is this
anything.
something that I'm probably imagining in my head and I'm projecting?
Um, with people that knew what was happening, it did happen to me, and a lot of people told me that just be mindful that this is going to happen. You're going to be approached by guys, acting as if that they love you, but they know what's their true intention, hoping that they would get um, money or whatever, assuming, because there's always this assumption that depending on the level that that person was, because my husband was a businessman, he did very well for himself, but they had this assumption that I've got millions and all of that, so I'm like, okay, it's easy. She's an easy target, and she's going through a lot. She'll need someone to, you know, fall back on or hold on to. So they thought that would happen. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because I didn't have time for that. I was like, I was done because I have two kids to focus on. I don't have time to be
Yeah.
getting myself in another mess.
You see, talking about messes and all these dynamics that come with Ugzila, which kind of make me sad that women have to go through things like this. There's the males now who are everyday males that are going around that you have to be scared of and you have to be vigilant of, and also protecting your heart. Remember, you're grieving, but also there are women who just almost feel like they also want to be loved again. They want to be held again. They want to be touched again in the very same way that they're healing. Now, there comes the in-laws. Many women fall in the back end of getting bullied by their husbands' families. And they go through this a lot. And sometimes they speak about it and sometimes they just don't. Did you have the support from your late husband's family?
Maybe, let me say, one or two people supported me. The rest were just against me, you know. I really don't want to talk much about those people because they mean nothing to me. But they said a lot of things about me, you know, which weren't true. And they had even said that I killed him. Like, does it make sense for me to go and hire people to kill a person that I love, a person that I just gave birth to his son, second born son, so that I can suffer and be alone? That doesn't make sense. Like they made up a lot of stuff about me, about my mother also, because like she always had my back. So they also made up rumors about her. So it was just really frustrating that they painted this type of picture of me when I wasn't really like that. You know, if I really was that person, I don't think my husband would have made me his wife. He could have made another person his wife. You know. So yeah, but. Those people, I'm not even going to call them my in-laws, those people really messed me up. I'm much better now, but they really frustrated my life. And the hurtful part is that they got to a point where they even said they can neither confirm nor deny if my kids are my husband's kids, you know.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, I don't need these type of people in my life. I'm already going through a lot. So yeah, it was really tough. I lived in fear, you know, every single day I would hear a new story, you know. So yeah, it was a lot. So
would you say that delayed your process of healing, amongst other things? You know, you have to deal with your husband and all the other things that come with your husband's story, but also now you have to deal with your in-laws who are not as supportive to this process, because not only have they also hurting, you know, if we have to look at it in another, if I have to be the devil's advocate here, they're also hurting. They've also lost a son. They've also lost ultimately a breadwinner in their home. So you can imagine that people once again grieve quite differently and have their different ways of grieving, and we might not agree with them. So is there a point at which in your life do you feel like you will ever sit with them and explain to them how much of the grieving process they took away from you, but also how much peace you want to get from yourself to mend with them, because also you are connected to them by virtue of your children?
I don't know. I really, I really don't know. I don't know if I'm maybe at some points, but at the moment, I'm not feeling like I really would want to sit down with them and express how I'm feeling. No, they don't deserve that. But at the same time, what you're saying is that I do have a connection with these people because of my children. So they also need to know their other side of their family. So At some point, I think when they're old enough, I'll probably do it. But at the moment, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah.
And yes, they did delay a lot of things, especially my healing and my children's healing. Because if I wasn't healing, my children don't heal on top of that, you know.
Mm.
So I'm still trying to, I'm not saying that I've healed as such. Every single day is a process. There's days where I'm great. I feel like, yeah, I'm healed, I'm fine, I can move on with life. And there's days where I'm like, I really can't, you know?
Mm.
So, yeah.
I respect you for that, and I 100% respect where you're coming from in that regard. Talking about a healing
Yeah.
process, I remember there was a particular night where we were all sitting as girls. It was all
Yeah.
five of us, actually, it was five of us.
Mm.
And yes, we had a lot to drink, but we sat down. You were there as well, including yourself, for those who don't know. And
Mm.
we cried. We all
Yeah.
cried out our particular pains, the things that weighed so heavy on our hearts, and we shared
Mm-hmm.
them. And we had promised to
Mm-hmm.
actually leave and go throw them out in the sea, in
Yeah.
the dam, actually, because you live close to a
Mm-hmm.
dam, in a dam, so that
Yeah.
we can process, we can move on with our healing. And yours was a
Yeah.
big part of letting this part of your life go, the part of your
Yeah.
late husband, the part of the things that your late husband did to you, and the things that
Mm-hmm.
your late husband's family is also doing. And we never got to that
Mm-hmm.
point. So this is why I'm asking
Mm-hmm.
you now, how are you healing? How is the process for you day by day that you are using to sort of get through the day? And I know some days are harder than others. You've shared this with me. You've
Mm-hmm.
said some days you cry, like oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I cannot believe. And the other days where you are a-okay.
Yeah.
But how are you getting through
Yeah.
that process?
Well, first of all, I have a great support system, especially my mother, you know. So when with days where I'm feeling down and out, I go to her
Mm,
and she helps me out, you know, and I feel better for that moment. But most of the time I pray. I pray a lot. It's a bit difficult now with everything that's happening with the whole coronavirus and the kids. It's just a mess. But I try to pray. I try to um, just to find out who am I without the situation,
mm,
trying to rediscover myself. So I usually just try to digest everything and try to make sense of everything. And then, I don't know, sometimes it just happens. But at the end of the day, I just feel with me being where I am now, I'm much better than what I was. And I feel it's just God that has brought me to this point. Because I remember even from the very first day after I heard everything, I went upstairs to my bedroom and I cried and I cried and I cried. And all I did was ask for God to give me strength,
mm,
you know. And I remember hearing a voice and it said, be still, you know. And from that moment, I just relied on God. At the end of the day, I'm human. I cannot like you have moments where you don't really doubt God, like how can God do this to me, you know, and all of that. But I still fall back onto God. I still fall back on the promises that He has in store for my life. You know, I just feel that there's a reason why I'm in the situation that I'm in right now,
yeah.
and I need to learn to embrace it. It's very difficult to embrace this kind of situation at the end of the day. But the another thing that motivates me are my kids. I cannot, I cannot be breaking down and being depressed because who's going to look after them? You know.
Mm, mm,
I remember I was telling my sister. Actually, I think 2 nights ago. I said, I remember when after the funeral and everything, I just wanted to become so depressed and just go into hospital. That's what I wanted. But when I think about it now, I was just trying to run away, trying to forget about it.
mm,
But now I've gotten to a point where I'm facing everything. I'm facing all the fears where I even sit where he used to sit. You know, I talk to him now. You know, I'm trying by all means to find ways to let him go, but it's difficult to let him go.
Absolutely.
But yeah, but I try. I try by all means. But at the end of the day, I've got two souls that are just looking up at me, and all I can do is I just have to push and try to be a better mother, better person, a better version of me, I guess. Because at the end of the day, if I need to make sure I'm okay for my kids to be okay, you know.
Absolutely.
So
I'm
yeah.
proud of
So every
you.
single day I try.
I'm
Thank you
very
so
proud
much.
of you, my friend. I'm proud of where you are right now in your healing process. I'm proud of where you are in life. You know, you were thrown with so many challenges and some that we might not have mentioned on the podcast, and I think we'd rather not,
Yeah.
because I think
Yeah.
you know, in this story it's going to take away from the person that you actually are, and it's going to take away from the
Yeah.
strong, amazing woman that you are. And I can imagine that when you're going through something like this, you almost feel like it's happening to you alone, that
Yes.
like once again you ask yourself the questions of why me, you know,
Yeah.
and why
Yeah.
not you. You are a vehicle. God brought you in this world for you to be a vehicle to something, and this happens to
Yeah.
be a journey. And it's amazing how when we talk about women who've lost their partners, we don't understand how many people are actually losing their partners on a daily basis, and they have to go
Mhm.
on. There's currently a young
Mhm.
woman right now who is, you
Mhm.
know, who's in the blankets, who cannot get up, who cannot lift her head, who does not know where left is from right, because they've lost a big part of them, and that's their partner. What would you say
Mhm.
to that young girl right now who married the love of their lives, who thought this is where life is starting, who thought this is where their journey of love and you know, a happy family is starting, and unfortunately that had to be cut short? What would you say to them?
No, I wish I had a picture perfect answer.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I do not have.
Mm,
Um, I really, because I'm still trying to figure that out myself. So I really do not know what to say. But what I can say and what I've learned is that trust in the process, trust in what God has in store for your life, and just try to rediscover and love yourself so that you are able to live a life not having to worry about I was meant to be with this person and this happened. You need to learn how to. I came into this world alone
mm,
without my partner. So I need to learn how to walk this road alone as myself, you know. So I guess it's just about learning to try to eventually get to a point of letting go and just focus on yourself and what makes you happy and be very unapologetic about it, you know.
mm.
Just live your life the way you want
Absolutely. Getting back into dating, how is that for you? Is that an easy process for you? Are you just like, why am I back in the game? Because the game is rough, girl.
to.
The game, uh, take it from me, is a rough damn place to be.
Wow. Abanyisi,
Hello,
abanyisi.
darling.
Azini. Yo.
One by one, ungathi basimakela i-register.
Mamela, yabona bathi angifuni ngijole. Ke
Yes.
right, ke sharp. Ke sharp. You know, it's really no, it's frustrating. It really is frustrating
Mm.
because you're not sure if are you really ready, but when you find yourself in that situation, like actually I'm not ready for this.
Mm.
You
But
know,
also,
but it
now una my feelings, you know. Now you,
yeah.
as every woman does, we do crave companionship. We do crave to be
Mhm.
held, to be loved, to
Mhm.
be called. You know, yeah,
Mm.
attention. I can imagine that's something you also just crave for so much, and now you have to get back in this space to ultimately, when you date, this man is expecting you to forget your past, to forget your husband, and now start a life with him.
Mhm.
Is this is
Ah,
this something that you're ready to do? Is this something that you feel your mind, your heart, and your spirit is ready to do?
I don't think I'm really ready because um, I go on dates, I get people, whatever, but I'm not really ready because I don't know how to trust anymore. You know, it's difficult to give someone your heart and then, you know, and have it broken again. So, yeah, I think that's one thing. I'm not, at the moment, I'm not looking for anything serious. I really want to be held and to be, told that you're beautiful and all of that. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't think I want to get into that mess of having to, you know, giving my all to someone. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm ready, but maybe when I'm ready, the right person will come. Because at the moment, there's nothing good out here. It's all a mess. Nonsense.
it's all a damn cup of coffee, cakes, and everything mixed
Aye,
together.
man. No.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but to be honest, I'm not really. I'm not mentally and emotionally ready
Understood. Understandably.
for something very serious, because at the end of the day, it's not only about me. I've got 2 kids. I need someone to love me and like me.
And your dating game is going to be completely different and has
Yes,
to be completely different for the sake of
yes,
yourself and your children.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
In wrapping up this interview, one thing you wish you were told about grieving, what would it be?
You don't have to be strong. You're allowed to break down and just just let it all out.
Mm,
Yeah,
this thing yokuthi
because
ungakhali uzogula.
yeah, yeah. Because you hear a lot of that, and you hear, no, Melu is strong, this will pass. Like in thing, like this will pass, and Kuzolunga, I've had enough of that. But one thing is that um, people should know, and they should tell someone that's going through the grieving process that just let it go, let it all out, and you don't have to be strong at the moment. Yeah.
Nonhlanhla, thank you very much. I know the babies are asleep.
Thank you so
I
much,
know I
friend.
stole your time.
Yeah, it's me time now.
Thank you. Yeah, it's you time now. You can take out your glass of wine and just enjoy. Thank you very
Of
much
course.
for trusting me once
Thank
again
you so
with your
much, friend.
story. And of course, everybody else who will be listening to this, I do hope that you heal someone who's going through the same thing and doesn't know how to deal or where to go on.
I hope so too.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much for
This
for giving me this opportunity
Yeah,
to share with
this
you.
was amazing. I was nervous. I didn't think that you'd want to speak, but here you are, and I don't take that for granted at all. I hold it very dear to my heart, and the trust that you put on me, and I respect that and I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, friend. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. This was Young and Widowed. Let me know what you think of it. My name is Tepi, and this was the AirPod.